The views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the guest and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of the host or any entities he represents.
I started doing a podcast, 1 video a day, 2.5 minutes.
Why 2.5 minutes?
I became homeless, so I had to go live in a friend's house in his sitting room. I still wanted to shoot my videos. Now I'm homeless, I still want to shoot my videos. So this guy had a rooftop. We would go to the rooftop every morning to shoot a video. But we were living right across the airport, and the airport have a 2.5 minute
between
window flights in the morning. So we have 2.5 minutes, and the plane is up there. It disappears. You have 2.5 minutes.
Go.
So I went hard and I went hard and I went hard and would do maybe 6-7 videos. I couldn't edit. I didn't have any editing software. The only thing I had was this dying laptop. So 2.5 minutes became my thing.
Welcome to the show. This was an interesting episode, doing a real quick intro, then I want to get you right into it. Today's guest is a guy named Andrew Kibe, who I was literally introduced to the night before this interview as somebody who works with the idea of masculinity in African nations, which he's from Kenya, so it makes sense. So he came in from somebody that I know down in the Austin area, and we had a great conversation, but it definitely got controversial. The reason I'm doing this intro is when you see this, it's going to be pretty much just open. He starts interviewing me. At one point, I ask whose podcast it is, mine or his, because it's hard to tell. And then we go right into his side of things. And yeah, it gets pretty interesting. So we wanted to release this because the conversation, I think, just shows you different perspectives, perspective of a man from another place, another world, and how he sees a lot of different things. Either way, I'll let you be the judge. Take a look. Make sure you give us a rating and review. We'd love to hear from you on what you think of this episode and just, you know, the conversations we're having here on Tribe of Millionaires. Check it out. What are you going to say about YouTube?
I don't know. I think right now it's not about the platform. It's about the content.
Oh, yeah.
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 At the beginning, maybe it was about the platform, like the people who jumped on YouTube early and got all the...
Sure.
Like let me give you an example. Like when Uber came into my country, Kenya, the rates were crazy. So the people who jumped on Uber first ended up doing very well.
Yeah, sure.
Yes. But after some time, when everybody got to
yeah,
because now the excitement of it being a new product, when that disappeared, then the rates just became shit. Yeah. So now it doesn't. So with YouTube, what I see is, yes, there's a lot of money to be made.
Thank you.
But we are focusing too much on the platform.
Oh, no, I don't want to make the money. That's where I feel like I can deliver the best message. Does that make sense? Like whether I make money on YouTube or not, like I'm just, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like I try to deliver these 30-second snippets and I can't quite get out what I want to get out to deliver. Like my message is mostly to middle-aged, highly compensated people who feel stuck. Like that's my audience.
Okay.
They feel stuck. Okay. I call it like I'm a midlife entrepreneur. I pivoted from a corporate career to a entrepreneurial career at 42, okay. Right? Like, so I felt completely disconnected from this job. I just did it for the
what were you doing?
Money. I was an executive with Progressive Insurance.
Okay.
So I only did it for money.
So you were wearing the tie and everything and looking.
No, I didn't
serious.
wear a tie, but yes, yeah, it was like Mr. Important in the insurance world, right?
Yeah.
And it was like I didn't want to be an insurance executive.
How long are you? Were you in insurance?
21 years. So age of 21 to age of 42.
Bro, but you said you didn't want to be in it. You were in it for 21 years.
Dude, my staying power is ridiculous, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I probably didn't realize, like, I was good at it. I made good money. It was a good environment, a good culture, but it was never who I was. And as time went on, that gap just got wider. And at a certain point, it was like, I'm so far away from my authenticness that I need to get back to who I want to be.
How many years was that into the...
Probably 16, 17 when I broke down. Actually, it's when I got the executive role. So I moved from Boston to Michigan for the job that was going to do it.
The corner office and everything.
Correct. So I got that job, and then it was like, I'm supposed to be happy, but I fucking hate my life right now. You know, like this is terrible. Like I don't want this.
Yeah.
It's what I thought was going to fix whatever I felt was empty before. So I had this big goal, and whatever was empty was filled up by the pursuit of that goal. But then when I hit the goal, it was like, I didn't want this. I was just numbing. It's like eating or drinking. I got hardworking. That's what I did to numb what I didn't understand was the feeling that I wasn't loving what I was doing anymore.
So was it for you the fact that there was a goal, and as soon as you achieved that goal, then there's no drive towards another. So there was no other goal, or
no, because I had other ambitions or goals that I could have lined up, but it was just that there was two things. One, I was counting on the external accomplishment to achieve internal gratification. So I got the job, and that's going to make me happy. Like I had to be happy inside. That was one, but it also was a revelation that it wasn't that I achieved the goal. It was like I got what I wanted, and this is what it is. And it just,
so it's underwhelming.
Yeah, it just underwhelming.
So you thought what, there'll be like dancers at the end of it all, and they'll be celebrating. What was the feeling that you were expecting?
I thought I was
years?
Like at that level, I'm at a certain level of leadership, influence, able to like drive an organization. Like I thought that was what I was going for. And it wasn't. What I enjoy is the influence part. I love helping people get unstuck. I love helping people achieve whatever they're trying to achieve. But I wasn't finding that in that role, and I thought I would. So I had to find it somewhere else.
So 21 years.
21 years, yeah.
So what happens?
I quit.
No. Before you quit.
What do you mean?
I mean, you're sitting in the house or in the...
Oh, the moment before I decided to quit?
So just tell me, what happened?
Yeah. We took so I joined a mastermind group. It's called Gobundance. That's how I got to know George. Yeah. Because he's connected to some of the guys that run it down here. So I joined that mastermind group, bunch of entrepreneurs, and I'm a W-2 guy. Mm-hmm. The mastermind group teaches you like, oh, wow, there's like a whole way to live outside of this. Like I'm thinking, okay, if it's not this W-2, then what W-2 is going to be the thing that I love? And, so I learned about, what it is to be an entrepreneur, that lifestyle and everything. And creating
what's a W-2?
Job. W-2 job. Like
so it's like a level.
Yeah, no. W-2 is the they call it a W-2 because it's the tax form you get at the end of the year. There's 1099, there's W-2, there's all these different tax forms. But so I had this job. I learned about entrepreneurship from these guys, and what I really learned was the power of vision setting. So I'd set a vision by getting around these guys. Like, all right, you know what I really want. This is what I want. I want to be able to travel 3 months, 4 months a year with my family, anywhere we want to go. That's what I want to do. I don't know how, but that's what I want. And when I got really clear on that vision, that compelling vision, it started to come into play. It was like, oh, let's go for a month to South Florida. So we went from Michigan to South Florida in February of 2021 for 1 month. My wife flew with the kids. I drove with the dogs. That drive was, I was just telling this to Garen, that drive was extremely freeing because first day I'm like on podcast or making phone calls. And then that's like, I can't do that anymore, but I have to drive. And so it's like the road and my brain. And it was finally like, okay, think and relax and let it all kind of,
stay in the moment.
Correct. So I had to be present and really, what do I make without my job? How much do I need? What do I have saved? What's my expenses? Like all this stuff that I wouldn't look at. These basic things I got to by just allowing myself to decompress and get clear. I couldn't talk to anybody. It was the dogs in the car and me and toys for the kids, and that's it. So like on that drive, I got to this place of like, shit, it's time. I think it's time. And I was telling Garen about 2 hours before I arrived. Go ahead.
Just hold on.
Yeah.
So in 21 years, you never had time to think?
I never allowed myself the time to really think. And it wasn't the whole 21 years, right? So like 17 years of it, I was convinced that I was on an ascension. Mm-hmm. I'm going to get this role. Year 17, I move. And in that move, that year, 2017 was the year because I started in 2017. It was miserable. I wasn't present. I was like, did you ever see Click with Adam Sandler?
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, when he's like, he's fast forwarding his life, but there's still him there, just like, eating food and he's not,
a worse version of him in the future.
Right.
Yeah.
That was me. So that was me. I had this like vision of the future and I was sacrificing that, but I was just a numb mess in 2017. So that year was like, what is this? I always say it was the year that my authentic self came into confrontation with my ego. My ego was always driving the ship. Get this level, get this job, make this money, get that equity, get that bonus. And now, like, I got everything that my ego wanted. My authentic self was like, all right, I'm going to call a few shots now because this fucker's miserable, meaning me. Look what we did it your way, ego, and he's miserable. So now it's my turn. And the ego's not going to give up. So that's a battle. And I'm like, what is this? I can't sleep. I can't eat. Like, what is going on?
Yeah.
So I always say, like, this internal battle, and my authenticity finally won. And it said, this isn't your life. This isn't what you've always wanted.
When did your authenticity win?
2018.
Where did it
18
win?
years.
Like,
I don't know exactly where, but I started getting into real estate. And in real estate, I found that I really like talking about it. And that's what became this. Like all of a sudden I'm jumping on podcasts and I'm creating content. So somewhere in there, it was like, ooh, I like this. And then it became like, all right, I like the brand part. Like I like communicating and all of that, but I don't want to just be limited to real estate. I want to be broader than that. So that was sort of what I began to do. And over time, I built a community and a course and monetized that and, really help people get, unstuck or become millionaires or whatever. It was just, I remember feeling so fulfilled when people went through my course and they were telling me how like, my God, I'm a different person than I was 12 weeks ago. That was like, oh, there it is. That emptiness.
That thing that you wanted to, yeah.
So that drive was the first time.
That's still not your ego, or who is that?
Oh, it's the ego, but it's the ego
in submission to now the authentic you.
It's in not even submission, in concert with, in what's the word? In harmony with, right? Okay. So we were just talking about this, Garen and I. Like I learned how much I overcorrected on the ego. I suppressed it. Like bad, ego bad. Get away from me, ego. No good. But the ego drives you, right? The ego has a role. As long as you don't let it get out of control, the ego has a role. It's not a bad thing. But so I was like in control and then I got rid of it. And so when I started to see the results of what I was doing, it was like, wow, this feels good. And my ego helped me overcome the challenges to get there, but it didn't take over and make it, so that I was only results driven. I actually enjoy what I'm doing all the time now. So it was in harmony. My authenticity and my ego were in harmony.
My brain right now is fighting because all I'm hearing is wife. So where's your wife at this time? Is she allowing you to do all these,
thank God,
iterations? Is she allowing you to be who you want to be, or to just move through the motions and
she is.
Fix your shit?
And I think part of it is where she comes from. So my wife, is your wife from Kenya?
No, I'm single.
Okay. Yeah. My wife's from the Dominican originally and grew up very poor. So she literally had a hole in the ground that she shit in. Like that was the bathroom, right? Like that was what she went through. So she would be the one to me, because I was like, I can't just quit my job. I make $300-400 grand a year. She doesn't work. We got 2 kids, health insurance. I can't, She's like, what's the worst that happened?
What's the worst that could happen? I know this life.
Right? Yeah. Exactly. She's like, we get a 2-bedroom apartment. Like what's the worst that really, you got to go get a job somewhere making maybe less, but still good money. And we're fine. And we got to downgrade our lifestyle a little bit. But she's like, I'd rather have you and you be happy than, have all like.
So she supported you through this?
Big time. I'm lucky. I'm blessed.
That is lucky.
Yeah. But to your point about the moment, so that drive, I got clear, but not like, I didn't realize it in the moment, but I wasn't 100% locked in. Like I was saying to Garen, you ever watch Top Gun?
Yes, I watched the latest one.
Okay, I haven't seen the latest one, but the old one, and maybe
I remember the old one, but that song just used to piss the shit. Which song was that? This used to be a stupid song.
The song
I think by the Red. What are they called? Is it?
That one.
Is it
Highway to the Danger Zone?
No, the main song.
Take My Breath Away.
That one. Yeah. What's by who? Roxanne or something?
I don't even know.
Man, I used to hate that song, so I hated the whole movie. Last, I liked Iron Eagle better.
Iron Eagle was a good movie with Louis Gossett Jr.
Yeah, Louis Gossett Jr. Yeah.
But anyway, in that movie, if you watch, like they're always like they're shooting the MiG, right? The enemy plane. They got that like red triangle thing on it, and it's bouncing around. It's right there, right? But they don't fire when they're right there. They're 99% on it. They don't fire in that moment. They fire when there's target lock, 100%. Beep. Then they fire, right?
Don't get excited. Wait for the target lock.
Correct. So for me, it was like, I think I'm ready to do this on this drive. But then I got a call about a friend of mine in New England who was a young guy, a couple years older than me. I'm 42. I'm 44. I was 41 at the time. And he's like 45, 46. 2 young girls, healthy guy, adventurous, all that. Worked with him for years. But he hated his job too. He didn't love what he did. He just did it because he needed to make money. But he went into the hospital with chest pain one night and then just never came out. Just died in the hospital. Oh, no. And that was my target lock. That was, I could.
They're like, that's it.
I could feel that whole, I could almost see him when I looked in the rearview mirror, like him instead of me. Mm-hmm. It was so like that little moment of like, time to go. And that was it. So I got to Florida. We did the month there. And I said, I'm going to go back after we're there for the month. This was in COVID, so you could work anywhere. So I went back a month later and actually quit on March 12th, 2021, which was 21 days to the day that I started. I started March 13th of 2000. So I like to say my career hit its drinking age and I killed it. But that was the moment. The moment was when I had built up enough of a awareness of what I really wanted in life and got like in the room. And then all I needed was that final signal. And unfortunately it was, hearing about this man's passing. but I honor that all the time. In fact, I'm speaking in Orlando next Saturday at an event, and I tell that story. Like, that was that moment where it was time to go. Like, life is too short. You just don't know. How old are you?
So it's a model. I'm 46 now.
46. Yeah, go ahead. What were we going to say?
So it was a moment of clarity for you.
Big time.
You were like, I now know what I want to do.
Correct.
There's no stopping me.
Correct.
So whether anybody, whoever is on board is on board. Whoever is not is not.
Yeah, pretty much.
And your lucky wife was on board.
Well, I mean, yeah, that would have been the hardest thing to overcome if she wasn't. So
that would have been impossible to overcome.
Yeah, but you can appreciate this at 46, right? I was telling these guys because they're younger. Like, when you're 20, you think 30 is like when you're going to figure shit out. You get to 30 and you realize you're still 20. Right, you're still a baby, right? You're still
nothing much has changed.
Correct. Yeah. And then you're like, all right, well, in the next 10 years by 40, I want this, that, and the other. Then you get to 40 in like 6 seconds. From 30 to 40, I don't know if you, but like my 30s were a blur.
I can't remember shit.
Gone.
Yeah.
Fast, right? So when you hit that 38, 39 mark, that's when I think you start to get tuned in with the idea of like, holy shit, I'm going to be 80. I don't feel old, but like this is going fast. Like life goes fast. It really does. When I got into my late 30s, early 40s. And to be honest with you, at a certain point, I remember thinking, God, if only I knew what I knew now, what I would tell my 22-year-old self, like the worries that I had then. But now life is so complicated. I got mortgage and kids. But for some reason in that moment, I flashed forward to like 90-year-old me and thought, what would he say now?
To you now.
To me now.
Yes.
Right? Like, because like 90-year-old me is looking at, like, I'm looking at 22-year-old me like, I
have solutions for that guy.
If only I could have the simplicity of his life, I could give him the solutions. 90-year-old me, first of all, I know 90-year-old, 90-year-old you. I'm the only one that knows this guy. You're the only one that knows that guy. And would he say to me, dude, grind it out in a job that you don't love and just make enough money and then, walk away when you're 60 or 70, when you're, a little older or whatever. Or would he be like, dude, you're 42 years old.
Leave a little.
I'm 90. I'm going to die soon.
Yeah.
That's complicated. Having kids and a mortgage isn't complicated. You're vital, you're healthy, you're energetic, you're in your prime earning years. If you're going to go now, man. Like, go live your life. You'll figure it out. We'll be okay. 90 is going to come really fast, and complicated is it's the end of my life. Like, I'm going to do as much as I can to pack it in, right? Like, that was a major moment of clarity, because we all do that in our 40s. Like, oh, dude, you're 23? If I could, these guys, you're 28 years old? Oh, if I could tell my 28-year-old
If only I had your time and this intelligence.
Correct. Right, exactly.
And it's never that way.
It can't happen. So, but what you can do is project forward. And I really believe this. Only you can know what 90-year-old you is going to say. That's it. Nobody can tell you that. I mean, they could probably guess. But if you were to go to 95-year-old you, what would he tell you to do right now? What is it that you're not doing that your 95-year-old self would tell you to do? Or what is it in your life that you have right now that your 95-year-old self would be like, stop it, get rid of that?
Yeah, I'm not taking enough chances.
Okay.
Imagine that. It's so clear. I know exactly what I need to do, but I just can't move one foot in front of the other.
Yeah.
What the fuck is that, bro?
No? Just the way life is. Look at 90-year-old you. That's the best advice I can give anybody.
90-year-old me would slap the shit out of me. Bro.
Correct. If he flashed back to now, he'd be like, "The fuck are you doing, man?"
No, yeah. Why are you so scared of everything? Right.
What's going to happen?
Yeah.
We're going to be here. I'm here. I'm 90. Right? You're going to live at some point in the future. So how do you want that to be? It's not even like make the most money or whatever. It's like, why don't you just do what you love to do? Whatever that is.
So what was your biggest fear when you were doing the 21?
Wait a minute. Is this my podcast or your podcast?
Bro, it doesn't matter. Yeah, I've already seen it through my eyes. I'm like, I'm the one interviewing you.
Yeah, I guess so. What was my biggest fear?
What was your biggest fear? Because
when I left?
Because the biggest fear for us as black people,
yeah,
is what is on the other side of the door. So that's why we make the best employees, because Africa is all built to produce employees.
Sure. So is the United States.
Not like Africa.
Maybe not, but yes, I get it.
Not like Africa. Africa, we produce employees. We don't produce entrepreneurs. So imagine telling an employee, somebody with an employee mentality, but you need to get out and try something. This guy has, there's no future beyond this job that I have.
Right.
So what was your biggest fear? I mean, like, I know, did you have to put anything down? Did you save up? Did you get to meet the right people first for this decision to make sense? Or did you just jump?
No, I didn't just jump. I always say this, I think you have to, if I had jumped when I felt like I wanted to jump and just stop, like at the depths, I would have just been running away. They would have been running away from something. And I just don't think that's sustainable. Like, it would have felt great to bust out of the door and put all that pain and hurt down. This feeling of like, I don't love this job. My boss is a ball buster. I don't like what I'm doing. I don't feel very good. Fuck it. That would have felt great for a moment. But then, like, now what? Like you said, what's on the other side of that door? So I think there's three things. I think one, you have to get quiet. My trip taught me I need to get quiet more often. Every quarter I try to do what I call a solo weekend, just to get away on my own, just to clear my head with an intention and journal and meditate and just be quiet in nature, in a hotel, whatever it is, but just on my own. No phone calls, no social media, nothing. Just 3 days of eating, sleeping, meditating, journaling, maybe exercising. Like, that's it, right? So one, you got to get quiet. Two, I think you have to shift your identity now and then let the result lag. In other words, you don't become an entrepreneur when you quit your job. You have to become that now, and then the result will occur as a result of your identity not being aligned with where you are. So in order to do that, in my opinion, you have to get around the right people that represent the new identity of you. So for me, it was finding entrepreneurs. Does that make sense? Like, I was saying this to Garen. If you have any kids?
Yes, I have 2 kids.
2 kids.
Yeah.
Before
the ones I know.
before your kids were born, right? You were, were you a parent? Not technically, you didn't have a kid, right? But my wife, my girlfriend, whatever, is pregnant, right? In that moment, your identity shifts. Like, oh, I'm going to have a kid, which means I got to be a parent. I'm a parent. So, you're going to do things now that represent the identity of a parent, even though the kid's not here. And when you do that, now you're in that identity, the result lags. 9 months later, the kid's coming, right? Like, the kid's going to come in 9 months. It's the same thing with becoming an entrepreneur or leaving a job or whatever it might be. If you are counting on the change in action or change in lifestyle to create the new identity, that's backwards. You got to create the new identity now and believe it. And then from there, it's like, well, if this is my identity, then all of my actions will direct me toward the result where this identity becomes real.
So it's not reactionary.
No, it can't be.
Yeah.
You have to get from it. And community is the best way. I think you get around the people that represent the version of you that you are identifying as right now, and that you will become. The result will happen, and that's absolutely essential. And then, so what I say, you got to get quiet, you got to get community, and then you have to get clarity. So you have to have a vision. What do you want for your life? Like a clear vision. And I always say with a vision, it's not a how-to. It's just a vision. It's a goal. It's an ambition, a dream. Not like, I'm going to have this by doing this. It's like, no. I'm going to have this. This is what my life is going to be. Just leave it there. Because if you say it's going to be this way, but along the path you learn that, oh, actually, this is a better path to my vision for me. So you're going to have blinders on if you state the way you're going to get to your vision.
So your words are not going to come back to bite you because you had already made that. I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah. So that's my thoughts, but that's how I think. But yeah, for somebody who's an embedded employee, it's like, well, what's your identity? What's your chosen identity? Okay, great. Go find those people and hang out with them. If I want to be in shape, I'm going to go hang out with people with 6-pack abs, work out with them, eat like they do, right? Whatever I identify as, I'm a healthy individual. I'm sick of this look and feel. I'm a healthy individual. I identify as that. So then, I'm not going to go work out with people with beer bellies. Right? I'm going to go find people that are living healthy lifestyles. And I bet you my workouts are going to be more intense because I'm with them. I'm not going to pick up that French fry or that donut because now I got to face these guys or gals, right, that are in great shape. I'm in that environment. That environment creates the reality of your identity, in my opinion.
How did you find these people to...
Gobundance?
Yeah, like Gobundance.
Podcast. Bigger Pockets Podcast. It's a real estate podcast. So the hosts are members of it. They kept talking about it. I'm like, what is this fucking thing? So I Googled it, called them, and it's like, yeah, I'll join.
No way.
Yeah, that's pretty much how.
How did you know about them?
About who? Gobundance?
Yeah, and yes. How did you know? I mean, you're a salesperson. Are you a sales?
No.
No, I'm saying at the time.
No, in claims, insurance claims, not
insurance,
sales.
Right?
Yeah, but not sales. Claims.
So you're not doing sales.
No, claims. So if somebody gets in an accident, my department handled the pain and suffering claim or the damage claim and all that stuff. So I handled claims, nothing in sales.
But Gobundance are more on real estate.
Yeah, it's entrepreneurs, and most of them are involved in real estate. Yeah, it just happens to be the founders have a real estate background, so the through line tends to be real estate. Yeah.
So how hard was it to get in there?
You had to pay money and have $1 million in net worth. So those are the two things. And I mean, for me, it sounds great, but it's like I had a retirement account that I can't touch forever. Okay. That contributes to my net worth. Some cash, had a couple pieces of real estate. So I qualified. Not like, not like sitting on $1 million, but like my net worth qualified. So I was like, well, I qualify. And then they talk to me, they interview you and, do you feel like a good fit? And they said, yeah, hey, we'd like to welcome you in. And then at the time it was $7,000 a year. Now it's $10,000 a year to be a member of it.
To be a member. Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
And how would you say that has impacted you?
Oh, it's everything. The trip to Florida was the manifestation of a vision that I was held accountable to. So that's the key about being around that community. They're going to hold you to what you say you want. All right. So guys, I'm in an accountability pod within Gobundance, and it's like, guys, I'm going to travel 3 months a year with my family anywhere we want to go. That's my fucking ambition. That's my goal. I still have my job. And they're like, cool, that's great. Like, we'll how can we help you? Yeah, this, that, and the other. So then one time, every quarter, we share our goals for the quarter. And Q4 2020, I said, all right, guys, this quarter, I'm going to travel for a month with my family someplace warm because we live in Michigan. We want to go someplace warm. And then I didn't do it. I didn't do it in that quarter. Q1 rolls around. I drop it right back on my goal sheet. Hey, guys, this quarter, I'm going to travel for a month with my family someplace warm. And one of the guys goes, all right, time out. Look, we love you.
But last quarter.
Do this for me. Do this for me. They're like, we meet every other week, right?
Yeah.
Like, on the next call we have, give us one of two things. Either tell us you're not serious and this isn't really a goal of yours and just put it down and just tell us that. And that's fine. Or give us a date, give us a budget, give us a location.
No way.
Yeah. Can you do that? I'm like, fuck.
So now you have to get involved in.
Yeah, I don't want to say no. I don't want to say I don't want to not talk about this anymore.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want this to not be a thing. So that was January, and mid-January came back in and said, guys, I booked it. South Florida, Hollywood, Florida, month of February, $15,000. That was the amount for like an Airbnb that we got for the month down there. And we did it. That's when I made that, and everything changed there, right? Like I went on that drive. I heard about my friend passing. I came back. I quit my job, and so they did that, and then that normalized that kind of a trip. So after I had quit in January of 2022, so this past year, my wife and kids and I went to the Dominican for a month. We went to the Dominican Republic for 1 month.
I saw one of your shots.
Well, yeah, but while we were there, we said, you know what? Let's do this for a year. Let's just move there for a year, maybe 2 years. So in August, we moved there. And so we've been living in the Dominican Republic, getting our kids another culture, another language, all of that stuff.
How many kids do you have?
2, 7 and 4. 2 young boys.
Man, that must be interesting for them.
It's fun. Yeah, it's fun. I was saying that to somebody. Maybe I think it was the Uber driver because he was asking me about it. It's like, I got to give him a lot of credit. You did this, but you did it as an adult, I assume. When did you move to the States?
Oh man, like 2 years ago.
Oh, oh my God.
I'm still smelling of Africa, bro. I still have my cologne from Africa.
Did you speak English in Kenya?
Yes, we did.
So you had the language. Okay.
So we had the language.
So you came here with the language, but the culture's new, the environment, all that stuff. And I'm looking at these 2 kids are going into a new culture at a 7 and 4 year old, new language, new friends, new everything. Like I give them a lot of credit for being,
but they're going to pick up what are they speaking there? Spanish?
Spanish, yeah.
So they're going to pick it up.
They're already doing it, man.
So how long have you been there?
August, and they started going to school where they speak half English, half Spanish in September. So about 2.5 months they've been at it, and you can already hear it. Like they're not like fluent, but they throw in little phrases here, or when somebody says something to them, they respond in English. In Spanish, they respond in English. So they're here, they're understanding it, and then they're responding. So
you've given them such an advantage in
it's
life.
Incredible, right?
Man, I mean, come on. Just think about the kind of conversations they will have when they're in high school, or maybe when you guys move back to.
I try to tell them that now because they're a little homesick at times. Like they want to see they FaceTime their friends back in Michigan or whatever. My older one especially, but. One day, I hope that they look back and say, "Holy shit, they will."
He's going to show the photos. Yeah. He's going to be getting girls.
That's what I told him.
Look at me! I was in the Dominican Republic and I can speak fluent Spanish.
You're gonna walk into this all-white town that we live in Michigan, into a school as the kid that's like, speaking English, and then something comes on in Spanish, and you're able to translate it. You're like, "Ooh, this guy's so mysterious."
And then he's going to come back with all that culture from the Dominican Republic. Imagine that.
Can't help but expand you, right? You've seen this, I'm sure. Like, it's funny. People ask me now, I'm in the DR. They'll ask me, boy, is it safe to live there? And I think it's the dumbest question in the world. Like, no, I'm taking gunshots every day. Like, you want to find unsafe. You can find unsafe.
Anywhere in the country.
United States, anywhere. Go to West Detroit or parts of Baltimore or whatever.
South Central.
Right. There's terrible parts of every country. So, but I say this, like, my context has expanded so much by making this move. And even just, I moved from New York to Boston to Michigan, then out of the country. Like, it's like, all right. So if this bottle is the context of an individual, like what they are what they are capable of holding, right? And the water in here is the content, right? So if this is the context, then all you're capable of holding content-wise is this water. Is it safe there? Well, I've lived in North Carolina my whole life. Like, how could I? Well, what about school? What about this? Like, well, your context is only this size. When you make a move like you did, or like I did, your context gets to the size of this room, which you can fill a lot more of content inside of this context, right? So but what's hard is now when your context is this room, right? And yours is greater than mine because you've moved fully from one. I'm vacationing in another country for a year or two, right? Like essentially, but so your context has expanded so much for you to try to explain things to somebody with this level of context. And I'm not saying this is bad or good, but it's just is this their context? It's like when somebody asks me, is it safe? There's only one thing I can really do. It's like, yeah, no, it's safe. Yeah, that's it. Because if I try to explain, there's just so many layers between that question and my context now. Like it's trying to fit all of this content that I could explain about safety into this content. Into your small, right? Puny eyes. Correct. Yeah. So in my culture, in Kikuyu, I'm a Kikuyu. So in Kenya, everybody learns 3 languages. So you learn your mother's tongue, and then you learn Swahili, which is the national language, and English, which is also the national language. Yeah. So 3 languages everybody must learn. In my Kikuyu language, we say that the person who does not travel thinks the mom is the best cook. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. So we used to think that way, and we never because when we were growing up, our parents would never allow us to eat in any other house. Wow. So I started eating in my neighbors, my friend's house when I was in Form 1, which is what, I was 13, 14 years old. Yeah. So I never broke this rule at all. I never broke it because I was so afraid of what the consequences would be, because, I mean, we were talking about witchcraft. So these were all the imaginations that have been put in our head. Yeah. And somebody who's going to poison you, don't eat in other people's houses. Those people are not your tribe. They're not your language. When I was in Form 1, now I'm 14, I go to eat at my friend's house. And this guy, so in our house, we would have meat or chicken or fish, whatever. So we had food. Yeah. In another house, because there were many, there were like, I think 15 in that one house, they would cook food for everybody in one big pot. So ours was a small pot. So you were able to make it even better. But these guys are cooking food in the big pot, and their food tastes better than mine. And their food is rice and beans. Me, I'm eating chicken and meat and everything, and their rice and beans taste better than mine. So it gives me a whole new perspective. I'm like, wait a minute. Yeah. Other people can cook better than my mother, can cook better than my sisters. Yeah. So I think that's what's happening with you. Sure. And for your kids, it's going to be amazing. I think so. Hey, I want to make sure we are recording, right? I think it looks like it is. This is too good not to be recording. I think we are recording. Good. That's good. So we'll just keep going. But yeah, no, the expanded context for the kids, like they can't understand or appreciate that now, but as they go back into the old world that they were in, they can't help but feel that. I felt that. I remember moving just simply from Long Island, New York to upstate New York, which is like 2 different worlds, urban versus very rural. And when I would go back to Long Island, the context there and the content in that context was, there's nothing up there. It's a bunch of rednecks, right? There's a bunch of backwoods people. And it's like, well, no, I've been there. So now you're expanding your mind. You're right. Like, no, this is too small for me. Now I need bigger. I would love I can't wait for the moment when they're back in Michigan or wherever we decide to land. But when they're back and somebody says something in their limited context about living in the Caribbean, or, being unsafe to travel in different places, or they don't have this down there, or whatever it might be, for my kids to be like, no, actually, that's not true at all. Like, well, how do you know? Well, I lived there for a couple of years. When are you guys coming back to? We're talking about next summer as the first decision point. So 1 year. So right now they're there. Oh yeah, they're there. Yep. I flew up from there yesterday. Man. Yeah, it's fun. You have the balls of a bull, man. Why? Come on. Imagine moving your whole family, changing up everything, quitting a job you had for 21 years, joining all this. I mean, look at what you're doing, man. You've only been doing this, for 3 years now? 2 years, yeah. And you say that, and it's like, actually, you're right about my wife, man. I feel like it's my wife's balls. Her balls were behind mine, pushing them. She was so supportive.
Because your wife was picking up on your energy.
Yeah, that's
so,
true.
So whatever energy you throw out there, your wife is like, this guy now knows what he wants.
That is so true, dude. Because a lot of people say like, "Oh I feel like my spouse isn't on board," and it's like you can't deny somebody's like what they're going to do when they've aligned so vehemently with this inner, like it's palpable. I felt it with the Garen just in the room a little bit ago. Like when he would say things about where he was going and what he's done and what his life has been like, I can't deny that energy. Like I could feel it in here. It was uncomfortable in the best way. You know what I mean? It was like, holy shit, like I'm on my heels here because of this guy's light, how much he's emanating, right? It's the same thing to your point. Like I was so sure that I was getting back to who I am and this is what I want and this is who I am and who I'm going to be and everything. I mean, my wife was supportive. I want to give her that credit. But even for that spouse that's a little bit like unsure, they can't deny, husband or wife, they can't deny when you are locked in, when you are truly there.
When you have that sparkle in the eye.
It's true, right?
Yeah, but then again, like my main thing is, like now we're having a lot of divorce. Okay, we're having a lot of. I don't want to say I'm divorced because it's not finalized or I don't know. It's up there, but I'm not together with my ex-wife. Mm-hmm. Okay, and the reasons why we are not together are many varied reasons, but we are finding that, and the more I pursue this, the more I see that we don't have partners who fight with us. We have partners who fight us. So that's what the world has become. The world has created it. Like if I want a woman, if I go pick a woman, she has to be of a certain breed or a certain. That's why I'm telling you, a very lucky fellow, for a woman not to think of herself and think of what it is that this guy wants to do. So like when you decided what you wanted to do, your woman had a choice to make. She had a choice to either flow with this guy or destroy him. Because if she says, I'm not doing what you're saying, then now you have another choice to make.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah. Stay in a position that I don't want to be in or flourish, go in the direction that I feel.
Exactly. But both ways, if she's not on board, it's such a problem for you. It's going to be such a hurdle for you to get to where you are.
Yeah.
Because you've only gotten to where you are because she was on board.
This is where I think, I really believe this. I think that, did you go through counseling?
No.
Never went through counseling even before the divorce?
Oh, no.
Nothing. Why?
Why would I?
Why?
If she's not listening to me, why should you think she'll listen to somebody else?
Well, so what I think about with it, I remember years and years ago, I had a coworker who got divorced after 25 years, and he was talking about how they went through therapy as part of like their whole process. And he's like a military guy, didn't like to open up, kind of a stiff dude. In fact, when he turned, he had like his shoulders would turn first, then his head. He was very like military, and he was saying, he's like, yeah, we've gone through therapy and it's good. They unravel the onion and they get down to like this little thing 20 years ago that happened. And nothing. It's a nothing thing, a little spat. No big deal. But it just sat there unresolved. And over time, there was like another layer and another layer and another layer. And before you know it, you got this big onion of discontent between you built on this little thing, this little pebble that you just never resolved way back when. And I remember saying to him, oh, that's great. So then, you can resolve things. He's like, nah, too late. We hate each other. We hate each other at this point. And I remember thinking like, holy shit, like do you go to the dentist?
Yes.
When?
I try not to, but I think I went last year. And
every year, every 6 months, something like that?
Maybe, yeah.
Why?
Once every 2 years.
Why do you go?
That's when my teeth are breaking and shit.
Okay. Do you go proactively?
No.
Why not?
I'm African.
Okay.
The only reason why we get into a place is if there's a problem. So you go to a hospital if there's a problem.
There you go.
You go to the dentist if there's a problem.
You don't go for physicals. You don't go for...
No, there's no problem. Why should I go?
Got it.
So it's a very American Western way of thinking where you guys try to prevent and...
Physically. Physically, we try to prevent. We try to prevent our physical well-being from deteriorating by going for a physical. We try to prevent our teeth from falling out of our mouth by going to a dentist. But emotionally, there's nothing proactive. It's reactive. Therapy, go look at a therapist website, any of them, and show me one of them that says, I work with couples at the beginning of their relationship to make sure that there's healthy communication throughout before there are problems. Never. Therapists market to what's out there, which is people say, I only go to a therapist when there's a problem. Well, when there's a problem physically with your teeth, with your relationship, now you're trying to fit, like, you can't put a tooth back in your mouth, right? If it's broken sometimes, like they're going to have to maybe pull that tooth and put something fake in there. Like that's not authentic and real. Same thing with your body. You could die if you don't proactively go out and, make sure you have a colonoscopy at 45 or whatever, right? Like it doesn't mean you will, but you could. Same thing with relationships. I think that there's an untapped market for coaching and or therapy for couples early on. So my wife and I started doing that early. Before there was like when we were in bliss stage, like, we're having so much fun. What do you want to do tonight, babe? It's Friday and we live in Boston. It's Friday at 5 o'clock. We're coming off work. What do we want to do? Want to go to Vegas tonight? Sure. Go to the airport 4 hours later and take a flight to Vegas. Like we were in bliss land, right? Like that kind of thing. But we would work on that, on the relationship then proactively, so that as time went on and the shit comes up, and it does, even when we thought there's no problems, let's just go in and talk because it's good for us. Like, oh shit, I didn't realize this is there is a problem that we uncovered just by having a conversation with somebody proactively, right? Like we wouldn't have uncovered that. It would have been a little pebble that we didn't even realize was unresolved. And years later, when we hate each other, we would have been unraveling that onion and finding, oh, that was the pebble. That was the thing. Well, if we squash it now and argue this out now and have somebody there to help coach us through what we're doing now proactively, then you can sustain a relationship. And then you get to the point where when I wanted to make this move, like you said, my light was emanating and she has a decision to make. Well, there was so much giving between us through the years of, oh, I didn't realize I pissed you off like that. I'm so sorry about that. I want to make that right. I want to do this. So much giving back and forth that when it came time for me to make a big jump like this, yeah, she's on board because we've invested so much in one another. And I was saying this to a prior guest, like, I think you have to sort of kill off aspects of the relationship as you go. Like a marriage needs to end multiple times for the next one to begin with the same person. Because you're 25 and 28 when you get married, no kids, young, lack of perspective. When you're 35 and 38, you're different people, man. Like you're not the same person that got married 10 years ago, but
you have to go introduce yourself to her. Hey,
correct. Here's who I am now, right? But you're not going to do that. You're not, it's luck. That's why, what is it, 70% divorce rate? 30% are probably lucky, or there's a large percentage of them that just stay in it because they're supposed to, right? But there's a percentage of people that are just lucky that as they evolved as people, it didn't disconnect them from each other. Like the evolution stayed within the confines of a relationship. And maybe the relationship space was so big they created that. I don't know. Or it was just a lucky sort of set of circumstances. But yeah, I think you have to kill off the marriage and start a new marriage as you evolve as people. That's the only way to keep it sustained and to keep it fun and to keep it intimate and sexy and all of that stuff, So that's my take.
Man, you have a story and a half. Have you written a book?
Not yet.
What are you waiting for?
To feel like it's like my calling. Like I've had the idea of writing a book, but like a lot of things, I'm trying to tap into more of now, not force it. You know what I mean? Like I don't want to force a book because it sounds like I should. Like I don't want to write a book right now. But when I want to write a book, I know there's one in me and it'll come. Yeah. You write a book?
I'm in the process of doing one. So
are you called to it?
I don't know. I don't know.
What's the book? What's it called?
So it's called Mr. Lambistic.
Mr. Lambistic?
Lambistic.
Isn't that from Shaggy?
Shaggy had Bombastic.
Oh, Mr. Bombastic. Sorry.
Yeah, so mine is Mr. Lambistic.
What is that?
So Lambistic is a man, we created this word. I didn't know it existed, but we created the word from, when you see like a lamb. You've seen a lamb, right?
Mm.
A lamb can be eaten by anything, even dogs.
Yeah.
Even a cat. If a cat puts its mind to it, it's going to kill a lamb.
Sure.
Anything. Even a bird in the air is going to take out a lamb. And a lamb, all a lamb knows is how to follow.
Mm.
So you never have any will of your own. All you do is follow. And you'll be eaten when it's time to get eaten. You're not fighting for anything. So you're just weak. So that's how I grew up. I grew up that way, and I grew up with a lot of fear. Fear of the unknown, fear of anything, fear of trying. Because I've been trying to pinpoint where that fear came into my life, and I decided, let me put that in the book. Maybe I'll figure it out as I go.
Mm.
Because I want to know where this fear that I have, this lambistry that I have, that has dominated my life to a point where it's so sporadic. There's no proper flow. The way a business should grow, the way.
What's the business?
The business is okay. Let me break it down to you.
break it down.
So Mr. Lambistic is a book that is about my life.
Okay.
Okay. Now, have I been to school to study anything? No. I didn't do very well in campus. Okay. So,
Campus being like a high school?
like the university.
Okay, university.
University. Yeah.
Yep.
So we call it campus in Kenya. Yep. So I didn't do well in university. And I was not interested. I tried to study even in India. I tried to study computer science. At the time, computers were just becoming the thing. So everybody was jumping onto it. But I was not interested in how the computer worked. I was interested in using the computer.
Yeah.
Because I was more technology. I like cameras. I like all this shit, you know? So for me, I don't really want to know how it works, but I like it.
Yeah.
You see what I mean?
It is cool.
Yeah, I mean, this is a fucking cool setup. So I lived my life like that. And so there was no real order because I didn't have the degree.
Yeah.
So I didn't pursue any career and say, this is the career that I want.
Yeah.
So there was no definite path for me. So I said, what's the easiest thing to do? Become a salesman. I can sell the shit out of anything. And I started selling and I started moving around.
What'd you sell?
Oh man, I sold. So there's a time we used to have SIM cards. You know what a SIM card is?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Big in the Dominican. I think outside of the U.S., SIM cards are a really, really big deal. I mean, they're big in the U.S., but they're bigger outside the U.S.
So now we were just adopting the mobile phone.
Yep.
So I started selling SIM cards. So I would go buy SIM cards from the distributor and then go to the shops and sell. All right. And then some Somali guy came in and he just fucked the business up by getting all the SIM cards for free. So he would decide how much to sell. He would go ask them, hey, how much did you get your SIM card today? Jamie, 50 shillings. He's like, I'll give you at 40.
Oh, geez.
So you can't compete with that.
Undercutting the market, yeah.
Yeah, so then I moved to selling instant shower heaters. So we don't have hot water in Africa.
Yeah.
So you have to connect the instant shower. So the cold water will come. So I would go house to house telling them, oh my goodness, you guys don't know. I'm about to sort your electricity bills. I'm about to make sure that you shower when you can. Man, I had the whole speech. I go to knock. It's very difficult. It's like cold calling.
Yeah.
Only that you're doing it in person.
Yeah.
So I know Americans have done this over the years.
Yeah, long time ago. The door-to-door has kind of gone away a bit, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, who's going to try that door-to-door right now?
Right.
Unless you're in one of those white neighborhoods like yours.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. Everybody knows everybody. Hey,
Funny
what are you
shit.
doing here, Mr. Smith?
They actually do that shit now still that you mentioned it, but go ahead. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, so I moved from that to that, and I started playing pool competitively, and I survived off pool for a while.
Yeah.
So I would play pool, and I was really good and make money hustling on the table.
No kidding.
Yeah. So I mean, I did many things, and then eventually, the church called me back, bro. So now I'm what? So I get a job. I get a nice job. So I stop playing pool. I get my first job. It's a rubbish job.
What is that? What do you mean, like garbage?
No, as in it's just a.
Oh, it's a shitty job.
So it's a sales job.
Oh, got it.
So let me tell you how I did it.
I
right?
thought it was like you were a garbage man. Rubbish.
Oh
job.
no, man! I wish it would have been a better job than that one. So, there's an interview. So this company is called Copycat. So there's an interview, and they've asked. So it's a big company, and everybody.
Where are you?
I'm in Kenya right now.
Kenya. Okay.
Yeah, so we're in Kenya. I'm in Nairobi.
Yep.
So there's an interview that Copycat. They need to hire 3 salespeople.
Okay.
When I look at my papers, my CV, you call what? Resume?
Resume, yeah.
Yes. So my resume is a page long. I've done nothing, bro. I have just the basics. Primary school, secondary school.
Yeah.
And I can't talk about university because even the reason why I was kicked out of university was because number 1, I was not doing well. And number 2, I led a strike.
Oh, on what?
Some guy was, they were telling a guy to remove his earring and they would suspend him if he doesn't. And I was like, no, he can wear whatever the fuck he wants.
Oh, wow.
So we had a big deal about that. Then they kicked me out from that university. So I get the job and I get the first. So this is what I was telling you. So at Copycat, they have 2,000, 3,000 CVs, resumes.
Yep.
They've received from everywhere because everybody wants to work for Copycat.
Mm-hmm.
Copycat is a big company. So I go and I design my resume. So it's 3 pages. I cannot do more than 3 pages. I have nothing else to add there. So the first page is just who I am and my contacts and everything. Second page is what I think I have done. And third page is my referees. Simple. Then I go to this shop. It used to be called, I think, Office Mart or something like that. Mm-hmm. And I buy some, like a file. So I bind this CV of mine. So I just don't staple it. I bind it with a blue cover on top and another blue back. And there's a binding thing here. So when you were holding the CVs, you'd have to separate mine to hold these other useless 1999 CVs. So mine had to be put separate.
That's interesting.
Yeah, because it's not doesn't look the same.
Yep.
So they would look and they said, let's call this guy. He looks interesting.
Sure.
Oh, bro, that's all they needed. Oh, I went there. I was like, God damn, this job is mine. They laughed. And anyway, we had all that fun. First job, I get poached. 3 months later. Second job, I leave that job and I get my dream job. Okay? So now my life is perfect.
When is this? Give me a timeline.
Oh, man, I'm talking about a year. So between the first job and my dream job.
No, but what year is it?
So this is 2005.
Okay, got it.
So 2005, I get the first job.
Yep.
2007, I have my dream job.
Yeah.
Which I didn't even know existed.
Yeah, sure.
It's ridiculous, right? Oh, I mean, of course, you know better than me because
No, I don't know better, but I mean,
you're living the life, you know.
Well, no, but I mean, like you went into, it's like anything. You went into action, and from that action came the results that you don't know. Like you had a vision, you wanted to grow, and there's great things out there when you get into action. But go ahead.
So for me, at this time, I'm just living my life. I don't know what a vision is. I don't know what anything is. Just give me these things to sell, I will sell it. Give me this machine to sell, I'll sell it. I'll make whatever money I'm making. I pay rent when I'm paying rent. I don't have a family. I don't have anything. The church calls me and I get into church. So now remember, this is one thing to the next, to the next, to the next. So I get into church and now I'm in the church for 10 years, bro.
Yeah.
While in the church, I get married and have kids.
2 kids, yeah.
And I wake up from my marriage in 2016. And I'm like, you know the drive that you had? That was me in 2016.
That moment, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, this marriage is not for me.
Was it ever?
No, I don't think so. I fucked up when I was too young.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had too many women.
Yeah.
I'm no good to someone.
What made you get married?
The church.
Got it.
So now I was weak. I was lambistic.
I get it.
So I couldn't make a decision. I should have said, no, I don't want to get married. I shouldn't just get married because the church wants me to.
Yeah.
I should have stood my ground. Then I would not have fucked up somebody else's life. And now there are kids in the picture. Yeah. So I should have been strong enough to say, this is not my thing. Why didn't I? Who was that guy? Why was he so weak that he couldn't open his mouth or make a decision? Why did he follow what everybody else was saying? That's a weak motherfucker right there.
Yeah. A lot of us have that story though. So, but yeah.
So I said, that guy is lambistic. He's weak, he's useless, and look at the decision that he's made. So I did a whole list. Look at how you fucked up. You did this, you did this. This doesn't make any sense. This is not you. You wanted to do this. So in 2016, I leave my marriage and I start now going out and I said, fuck it. I had never cast before in a video.
You never what in a video?
Cast.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Because I was a nice guy.
Sure.
I was trying to impress other people. So I reached a point I was like, man, this is not working. My life doesn't make any sense. I've lost now the 2017 job, 207 job. I lost that job.
Just cause economy or just...
So there was post-election violence.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah.
So there was a big deal in Kenya and people were dying and everything. So one of my partners from Japan says, you know what, we're not going to stay in the country anymore until you guys sort your issues out. So I left that job. I'm jobless again. Right? So I go through the whole process. I get married and everything. So Mr. Lambistic comes out because when I look at my life many years later, I cannot see any decisions that I've made for myself.
This is in 2016, 17, when you're seeing this?
So this is 2016.
Yeah.
So 2016, I have to go and try and become somebody now because I have nothing. I have no identity. Who am I at 2016? Yeah, just a man who was married with 2 kids. What the fuck is that? Okay, I don't know myself. I don't know what I want. So I started doing a podcast. Just one video a day, 2.5 minutes. One video a day.
What was what topic? Like, what was the 2.5 minutes? Why 2.5 minutes? First, I'll start with that. Why 2.5 minutes?
So 2.5 minutes was because number one, I thought our attention span is less than 5 minutes.
But why 2.5? Why not 2 or 3?
Yeah. So So at this time, I became homeless. So I had to go live with a friend's. In a friend's house.
Yeah.
In his sitting room. Okay. So this is a man who has a wife and kids. I have to put my mattress in his bed, in his sitting room.
Wow.
And then during the day, we put the mattress up and bring the seats to the side and watch the TV or have guests coming. But there's a mattress going to be there the whole day. And so I still wanted to shoot my videos. Now I'm homeless. I still want to shoot my videos. So this guy had a rooftop. So we would go to the rooftop every morning to shoot a video. But we were living right across the airport. And the airport have a 2.5 minute
between
flights in the morning. And the only time you can shoot is in the morning because the sun is not up.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so we have 2.5 minutes. When the plane is up there, it disappears. You have 2.5 minutes.
Go. Yeah.
Go.
Yeah.
So it's go, and it's whatever you need to push in there, whatever you need to say, you have 2.5 minutes. So I went hard and I went hard and I went hard, and we would do maybe 6-7 videos. Only one of them would be good. Sometimes even 10 videos. Because the guy who's shooting is drunk or whatever, there's just issues.
Sure.
But it was always 2.5 minutes because I couldn't edit. I didn't have any editing software. The only thing I had was this dying laptop. So I had to upload that to So the only thing I kept paying was the internet for the house. So 2.5 minutes became my thing. So whenever I did a video anywhere else, because I'd already been used to the 2.5 minutes, so I have an internal clock.
But what was the topic? Like when you did your first 10 videos, what were you talking about in 2.5 minutes?
So we're a highly sexualized society.
Yeah.
So we talk about sex a lot.
Okay.
We talk about sex and relationships. We don't build anything. We're not entrepreneurs. Nothing. All we have in our heads is sex.
You mean Kenyans?
Africans.
Yes. Okay.
And that's why we are so the way we are, because all we think about is sex. So it's like, yes, it's good, but we can now talk about male-female interactions, because that has been my biggest issue. I'm one man with 3 baby mamas. 3 baby mamas.
Yeah.
Through all these issues, and I've never had my dad sit me down and tell me anything. There's no uncle in my life who's ever sat me down. There's nothing. We've never had a family meeting. There are no men to talk about anything. So it's like I have to be that man that I think the society needs. Okay? And I have this shit that I need to talk about, that I'll start talking about. So like I would put up a video and say, why, like now, this is a big deal in our country. Why would a woman take money from you and lie to you that she's coming to see you? Okay?
Yeah.
Very simple topic. Why would she do that? Is there any friendship between men and women? That's another topic I handled. Can we have that? Yeah. So because I'm very radical in the way I think, and I kept saying, you know what, there's no friendship between men and women. We have to change the way we are thinking, because men have to be men, women have to be women. And it just blew up. It blew up, and now I was trending everywhere.
With who?
With like the youth, bro.
Yeah?
Yeah, the 20-year-old, 25-year-old.
Men?
Men, yes. And the women were pissed off.
Why?
Because they don't want men talking.
Why?
Because when men talk, they fix shit. And as long as shit is not fixed, then they can continue existing as the head of the men. Now, if you know anything about black people, the black people have been dominated by their black women. The black men are subservient to their women, not the other way around. So now the black man worships the black woman. So if you dare, that's why you hear black women say strong and independent. I don't hear white people saying that shit.
Yeah?
Yeah, white people are comfortable in their own skin, but the rest of us, we have to keep pushing these nonsense narratives that have no basis in our real lives.
Is that you say black people, is that black Africans? Or are you saying it's
black,
everywhere?
It's black.
So even moving here and coming here 2 years ago.
Oh, I can't be around the black people, bro.
So explain that. Again, I'm purely curious, not being in the black community. My wife's, Dominican, but that's a Latin American community. It's a little different. We're talking about black African people, whether they're here or in Africa.
We're talking about black.
Just black.
Black.
No matter what. Haitian.
Whether you're American black, Haitian black, whatever black you are caste. There's something the devil and God agreed on that made us all so stupid that we are unable to work together, bro.
Wow.
So we have no men talking to us.
Yeah.
I, as Andrew, who's here in America today, I had nobody. My dad wasn't there, my uncles weren't there, and I kept looking at these people like, you guys are not going to say anything?
Yeah.
So I would see how my mother and her aunties would dominate everything, and I would be like, guys, gentlemen, say something to these bitches. Yeah?
Yeah.
They cannot continue destroying our lives this way. Come on, say something. And the men didn't. So now you grow up with all that resentment, but remember, your mom is still your number one. So I kept asking myself, why isn't anybody saying anything? So I started doing it. Bro, there was nobody saying anything in my country. So all the attention fell on me. Because now this one guy is saying it, and he's unapologetic, and he's using whatever language he wants to use. Because, I mean, saying fuck in Africa, bro, you have to be, I don't know, you must be a billionaire, because there's not a single corporate or any endorsement you're ever going to get.
Just by using foul language.
Just by using whatever language you want to use.
Oh, wow.
Or saying, or even your thoughts.
Yeah.
So, so that's what I started. And now the radio stations notice me, the TV stations notice me. So I started getting jobs or offers. And now remember, I'm getting an offer while I'm sleeping on a mattress in my friend's house. But I don't tell anybody, because why the fuck would you want anybody to know that?
Right.
So 2018, I'm on the floor. They call me. They tell me, come, we want to give you a job. Now, this studio that calls me is a big studio that had just opened up, and I didn't know why they were calling me. They just said, we want to discuss something with you. So I go to the studio, and I meet the owner and the manager. And in my mind, a week before that, I'm just wrapping this up. So a week before that, I had sent someone to go to this radio station to tell them that I would like a slot for 10 p.m. at night. So I can get a 10 p.m. to a midnight slot where nobody's listening and there's no competition from other radio presenters. Nobody wants that slot. It's a dead slot.
Sure. Yeah.
Right? So I wanted the 10 p.m. to midnight slot so I can go there and do my nonsense. I was willing to pay for it. So I was going to get advertisers to back me up.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah.
So these guys never got my message. So the person that I sent never went there. She went to somebody else, and that person gave them corrupt information. So I'm sitting with them, and I'm looking at them like, did you guys get my message? They don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. And they're here to offer me the position for the morning. Now, if you know anything about radio, morning is the biggest slot.
Yeah, sure.
And I'm like, what do you mean? I said, yeah, there's no other position.
Based on your YouTube content.
Nothing else, bro.
Wow.
They never got to see my CV, my resume, or whatever you call it here.
Yeah.
They never got to know anything about me. I never told them anything, bro. The only thing I gave them was my bank details.
They're watching 2.5-minute videos, though.
2.5-minute videos and my bank account. Where are you going to send my money?
Okay, continue. I have a couple questions, but go.
It's okay. Just ask the question.
Well, so what did they, when they pitched you on the morning show, why? What was their reasoning for it? Because it sounds like I'm putting these pieces together in my head. You're talking about masculinity essentially and relationships between men and women in Kenya, between black people specifically, right? And so they want you now to, something that nobody's talking about. Nobody's talking about this. So are they wanting you to bring this mainstream to a morning show?
Yes.
Why?
Because that is what is trending right now.
Oh, okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
It's trending because we've had...
It's trending because it's you? Meaning like you've created the trend?
We can say there's a bit of that.
Okay.
So there's a bit of me being part of the trend, and also there's a bit of the society lacking people who speak the truth.
Yeah.
So we lie a lot. So our politicians lie, our pastors lie, everybody lies. So we don't have anybody who sits and tells the truth. So I separated myself and I said, I will try as much as possible to stick to what the truth is. So if I sit with you, if this is the truth, it's the truth. It doesn't matter whether you're my buddy or not.
Sure, sure.
So that's what the young men wanted. And it was like a breath of fresh air for them. And I didn't know. Because for me, when I was doing it, remember, I did it from a moment of fuck it. I was like, I've been waiting for Hollywood. I've been waiting for these guys to come and pick me from my house. They never did.
Right.
So I might as well just go this by myself, and the internet is there. So the first thing that I did, I recorded myself on my phone. In fact, there was a buddy of mine who picked the phone and told me, you've been talking about this shit for too long. Here.
Yeah.
Say what you want to say.
Right.
Yeah. And I got offers. I got from that. From that radio station, I went to the biggest radio station. Right, same morning slot.
Nairobi.
Yeah,
big city.
Man, I didn't tell you this. Maybe. So the first job that they gave me, remember I was sleeping on the floor.
Yeah.
I didn't have a car. I didn't have anything, but I didn't have money. And they put maybe like 12 or 13 billboards around the city of me and my co-host.
Yeah.
Looking presidential and all that shit.
You're not getting paid?
No, I'm getting paid peanuts, bro. I think I was getting paid $1,000 a month.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So it's nothing.
Yeah.
It's nothing. Yeah. But remember, the first 30 days, I'm not seeing anything.
Yeah, right. You were going to pay for the 10 to 12 slot, right? And they're going to pay you now for the morning slot.
So now they're paying me.
Right.
Yeah. And we came up with a deal and everything. But now I still don't have money. There are almost 15 billboards around the city, around the country.
Yep.
These guys are advertising that I'll be the biggest shit on radio. But I'm still going to sleep in a mattress. And I don't have any money.
Yeah.
So I would walk from the office, go like maybe 2 kilometers down to go get an Uber that was cheaper. Because if the Uber came all the way to the office, then it would charge me going round and turning, which was an extra maybe 100 bob. So I had to go all the way down there, get the Uber, and I never told anybody. I would just walk, buy some maize, eat the maize as I'm going. Then a year later, we get an offer from the biggest radio station. And they're paying me, 5 times what I'm being paid on this side.
Wow.
And they put another 20 billboards around the country.
I was going to say, when you're walking to an Uber, are you getting hit up? You're everywhere. Your face is everywhere.
Do you think they expect to see me on the street?
Good point. I guess you're a celebrity, right? You're the big name in town.
Plus, I'm walking on the road, so I don't want to walk where people are.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm walking on the road, so I don't want people to see me. Yeah, but for me, it was just fuck it. And when I said fuck it, so the men now have the voice again. The boys have the confidence to be able to make their own decisions.
Sure.
Yeah. So that's my thing. So for me, that gives me a lot of satisfaction.
It's funny. I want to go back to this because this is interesting to me. It's just like, I'm a white guy that's grown up in the United States, right? I don't have the perspective, the context we were talking about that you have growing up in Kenya and then coming here and observing black culture here versus in Kenya or in Africa or whatever. So you said before, it'll be, how do you respond, I guess, to those that would say, hey man, look, you're a black man, you're a black African man, and you're saying essentially that black people are cursed in some way. Like, God and the devil conspired to just say, black people are dumb.
Yes.
I'm just paraphrasing what you said. How do you respond to somebody who's thinking, well, I know you're black, but that's pretty racist, or that's pretty ignorant, or whatever? What's your response?
You call it what you want to call it. when I see how the black people operate, you can call it whatever you want to call it. Because all these terms are just to muddy the conversation. The conversation is, are we doing well? No, we're not. Right? Everybody comes in and takes advantage of us. So why are we pretending that we're doing well? We're not doing well. The rate of abortions is highest in the black community in America. The black people are killing their own children, bro.
Yeah.
So what you telling me? The black people are killing themselves in America. There's a higher chance of me being killed by a black man in this country of yours than by somebody who looks like you. I went to South Central. I went to downtown LA. I was scared for my life. And I'm from Africa, bro. As guys have seen lions and shit. I'm like, what the fuck is this?
Right.
Yeah. So it's a high time somebody tells them the truth, which is, you guys are fucking up. The black people have been cast because they follow the women. Men should not follow women. Women need to follow men.
Now, what about that one? The sexist thing. You're going to hear that.
Again, just throw it in there. I'm from Africa. I use the word nigger, so I know it's taboo for the white people, but it's also stupidity. Because why are we taking away language from everybody? Shouldn't I be strong enough to handle whatever the fuck you want to tell me?
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, in the context of, in anything, whether it's, race or sexism. I mean, you just
anything, bro.
We're offended.
Anything.
We're offended very easily.
Why am I offended? Why should I be offended easily?
Right.
That's weak of me if I get offended.
Yeah.
Because if I remember when we were playing in the playground, kids didn't give a shit about what you were going through or your issues at home or whatever. If you were bald, you were bald in this playground. If you were fat, you were the goalkeeper. Yeah, with kids, it's pretty straightforward.
Sure.
So why do we become these evil human beings who can't be honest with each other?
Yeah.
That we have to come up with tricks and everything. So when I look at the black people, my people in my country, we call each other crabs in a bucket.
Sure.
So you see how you guys have come together, Gobundance, and now you're talking and pushing each other?
Yeah.
Us guys, it's the other way around.
Yeah, the reference, right? Crabs in a bucket drag each other back down,
Yes.
right? When a crab tries to crawl out, the crab drags him back.
These crabs are in the bucket together.
Yeah.
Right? So if I try to come out from whatever situation that I'm in, my people are the ones who are going to pull me back in.
Wow.
So you tell me, why should we be, who lives like that? How are you ever going to build anything that way?
So in a country like the U.S., again, just systemically, there's over the years, there's been discussion of like reparations for those that were brought over here in slavery, how there's generational wealth has been stolen. And I'll be honest, that makes sense. Just taking the emotion out of it, like, okay, 5 generations ago, my family didn't have things taken from them like a black family would, right? So today you have, I think, people that are saying, hey, look, you got to make your own way. There's very successful black people that have done amazing things and have overcome poverty and, terrible conditions, fatherless households, whatever it might be, right? There are black people that have done that. But even they would say, even a black person that's successful, I think, acknowledges like, well, but it is harder. It is harder for a black person because of what's been done in the past. But you disagree. Hit me, man. Like I am approaching this. You got to understand, like, I'm looking at this camera. This is like, bro, this topic for me.
I know. So let me do the dirty work for you.
But real quick, before you go there, I mean it though. Like I am curious because I don't know. Like, it's funny. Do you know who Bill Burr is, the comedian?
Yes, I know Bill Burr.
Oh, dude, he does this whole bit on abortion where and it's funny, but he's so right. He's like, I'm pro-choice because I don't like being told what to do, and I don't think I should tell a woman what to do. And I'm like, yeah, okay, that makes sense to me. He's like, but I'm also think that what you're doing is killing a baby. Yeah. He's like, I just sit on both sides of it, and it makes sense to me. And I'm like, you know what? That fucking does make sense. Yeah. And that's the same thing here. I agree that there is generational wealth gaps as a result of slavery in the country. I just think that mathematically that has to be true. It just makes sense to me. But I also agree that I've seen people born at the bottom of the escalator of life that have crawled their way all the way to the top from the black community, just as much as there's been white people of privilege who've fallen from the top of the escalator where they were born.
We have to agree that the history that you're putting out there is accurate.
Well, hit me then. Tell me where it's inaccurate.
Yeah. So we have to agree that the history that the black people think is their history, is accurate.
Okay.
Because if I know anything about human beings, is we lie. We lied about COVID, and it's not even 2 years down the road. So if there's anything about the history, I mean, you can rely on the human being, is to lie.
Okay.
So I am not sure what they tell me is the truth, because the people who are telling me are evil. So they cannot tell me about a truth that existed 400, 200, 300, 100 years ago.
Yeah.
You cannot tell me the truth about my colonialism in my country because I don't trust you. So as long as I don't trust you, I cannot trust anything that you say whenever you open your mouth. I don't trust you to be a good person because you show me you're not a good person. How do I trust what you're telling me is the truth? I can't even trust when you tell me it's 3:30 right now.
Right.
So I don't trust a thing you tell me, bro. So why should I listen to you? So the black people are talking about reparations. What the fuck is that, bro? I've been in this country for 2 years. Mm-hmm. I have a Mercedes-Benz S550. Yeah. Which other country do you think that is possible?
Yeah.
So when you tell me 400 years, bro, I only have 2. And it's not even 2. It's not a complete 2. It's a 1 and something. So everybody's running to get themselves in here. Everybody's trying. The Mexicans don't even know English, and they can't even wait to get in here. So what you are is a victim. And somebody needs to tell you, wake the fuck up, stop being stupid. Because the country is being divided as you are asleep. Mark Zuckerberg woke up and cut himself off a slice of the country.
Yeah.
Elon Musk came in and he said, oh, there's a part of this country that needs me. Everybody's doing it, including Andrew Kibe. So what are you looking at? The person who did that to your grandfather or to your great-grandfather died the same time when your grandfather died.
Yeah.
So the problems and the oppression died then. That doesn't exist anymore. Go to the streets and tell me where people are oppressed in America. In my country, I've been here, about 2 years. I've not been stopped by a single policeman in my country a month, without having engaged with the police. What are you talking about? You guys talk about police brutality. You have no fucking clue what that is. You have police who smile and say hi to you. You're saying hi. What are you guys doing here? Yeah. So it's the thing you're talking about. Your perspective or your
context.
Your context is so limited because you've only been eating your mother's food. So your mother has filled you with all this fear and all this lethargy. You're so lethargic. Like now I was with some guys from Gobundance and we were passing by a certain road, I think just around here. And I see this homeless guy, but he's built like a horse. But this guy is homeless. How does that make any sense, bro?
Yeah.
So for me, I have no sympathy for the black people, right? I have no sympathy for anyone, okay? I am not God. You can go deal with God when you get there. But for me right now, the black people are fucking up because we have the identity of our mothers. So we need to get back our identity of our fathers. We need to go back to being men so that we can lead our women. But our women cannot lead us. It doesn't work that way because if our women lead us, then their men are the white men. So when they want something, they'll come to you. They don't come to me. But if they come to me, that's where the power is because I can come to you and tell you, hey, how come you've not given me an extra this or that?
Yeah.
Then me and you can have that discussion. But when you're having the discussion with my wife, then she is my leader.
Interesting.
So now the boys grow up under that situation. They see where the mother is the power. So they worship the woman. When this boy becomes a man, he's already been indoctrinated into woman worship. So he cannot make any decision as a man. That's why these men are going to be homeless or are going to sit on the passenger side of the car and be driven by their women. That only happens with the blacks. You know that?
No, yeah. Sure, I'll take your word. What are you saying that women can't lead?
They shouldn't.
Shouldn't in any capacity?
No, in any capacity because...
So not in corporate America?
No. They shouldn't lead.
Wow.
Yeah, women
That's a big statement, man. Like,
they shouldn't because the men are there. Maybe when the men are not there, the women can lead.
Yeah.
Yeah, but how can a woman lead a man? She cannot enforce anything. She can't. The leader needs to be able to have the power to enforce. If I have to come to you to enforce...
Why doesn't a woman have the power to enforce?
Because she's not physically able to enforce it.
Oh, so you're saying it boils down to physical confrontation, physical strength.
America is not the greatest power in the world. It's not a superpower because you guys know how to talk. You guys are the greatest superpower because when you say something, you can back it up.
Yeah.
So if I say I'm coming to Iraq, and that guy who's the president starts fearing because you get there.
Yeah.
Okay? Mm-hmm. And the bigger you get there, the more freaked out they're going to be. But when a woman is giving instructions, so what if I don't follow those instructions? What is she going to do?
Can she not exert her force in other ways?
How?
Financially.
They don't make enough money.
Well, if a woman is in the charge of a company, CEO of a company.
So she has to be very masculine for her to be able to play that game.
Okay.
So she has to do away with her femininity. So she almost has to stop being a woman to be able to handle that situation. And even at that, it's still going to be a problem because men don't just give in to women. Yeah, so there's going to be some pushback.
But is the woman that achieves that then, is she not fully a woman at that point? Meaning like she's embracing all aspects of herself to overcome the challenge of the physical nature of men?
She's a woman. But yes, so you're right. Yeah, so she's had to do away with some of her traits as a woman to embrace this newfound, what do you call it, power that she wants to pick up. Yeah, so she has to do away with some parts of her being a woman. That's why you find even educated women are like that. So you find it's very boring talking to them because now there's no woman inside there. Like in America, man, like when I go to your pubs out here, so the women are very beautiful, but the femininity does not exist, bro.
Why? What do you mean?
There's no woman inside.
I don't get that.
She's so conditioned to making decisions and living by herself and doing all these things for herself that she has had to become a man. Because ideally, there's a separation. Women do some things and men do some things. But now in countries like America, when you have, there's no separation anymore. So now that's why you have all these soft-looking guys and these hard-looking women, and nobody knows whether they're men or women or going or coming, and all that nonsense is happening there. So because the strength of the man was taken away, and as long as there's no strength of the man, then it's like there's no man.
What's the risk to all of this for you? So when you say, like, in your opinion, so you're saying if women are taking over, if women are in positions of strength, or men are worshiping women, so what do you envision being the fallout, the downside, the result of that society?
So number one is men are going to be fucked up because you see the court system really likes to have men in there through child support or domestic violence or whatever other stupid shit they can come up with. Okay? So the man is one who's suffering now. The woman seems to be winning, but in the end, the woman loses. And so what's happening is a lot of men, especially in my country, they just did a research and they said men are no longer getting into marriage. So the numbers have plummeted. We were doing well, but now the men are deciding enough. So it could be because of me, or it could be because of this new message, or it could be because of what we have seen in our society.
Sure.
Yeah. So now marriage is going to go down. Men are going to learn to live by themselves, which is a very dangerous thing for our society, when men live by themselves. Not because these men are dangerous, but because these men are no longer taking care of women. So the women are going to get very desperate. And what does desperation lead to? They're going to become promiscuous. They're going to try and do as much as they can. Now you see they're selling their bodies on Instagram. Right? On social media, they're doing whatever it takes to get this attention, because women live off men's attention. They don't live off women's attention. They live off men's attention. So if the men stop saying hi to them, stop, catcalling, and stop showing them their attention, then these women are going to get depressed. Now, did you know that in America, 1 out of every 4 women, especially in the black community, are on, 3 out of 4 are on antidepressants.
Is that right? In the black community, or just women in general?
I don't know whether it's women in general, but I know in the black community it's very high.
Wow.
Yeah. So imagine that.
Yeah.
When you see 4 women, somewhere 3 of them are popping pills. That's madness, bro.
What is that from?
From childhood trauma.
And that's so bringing back in gender roles. So you're talking about, so they have childhood trauma because there was not strong men in the household because women were leading the households?
Yes, and women tend to put a lot of trauma in children when they're raising them by themselves.
Why?
Because of the noise.
What do you mean?
Women fuck up kids when they raise them alone. Okay?
Why though? Like what do they do?
Because women are very emotional. So if you are the baby daddy, so she's annoyed at you. She's annoyed at this thing that keeps reminding her of how annoyed at you she is. So her selfishness at some point is going to kick in, and she's going to try and destroy the boy or the girl, whoever it is. That's why you find when a woman is a single mother, chances are very high that her daughter, if she has a daughter, the daughter will be a single mother. And not just a single mother earlier than her. So if she was a single mother at 17, her daughter will be at 16.
Let me ask this, on that. Can women be happy without a man?
Impossible.
Can men be happy without a woman?
100%.
Why? Like, that's interesting to me. Why is that the case?
Because we don't need them to survive.
Don't we though?
No, we don't. We don't need them to survive.
But women need men to survive.
Yes, women cannot survive by themselves.
Is this law of nature, or is it law of human nature? Is it black white? Is this lions? Is this lambs? Is this every animal, mammal?
Yes, without the male, then the female will disappear very, very quickly.
Okay.
Even with the lions. The lionesses can hunt, but without the male, all of them are in jeopardy of, unless they stay together longer than they really have to.
How are they in jeopardy without the male?
Because any other male can come in and do whatever he wants with them.
Oh,
so they're not strong enough to stop even a weak male. You see?
Yeah.
Like, take for example, the U.S. football team went to play some team, God knows where, probably in Honduras or somewhere. These guys were in high school, 17, 15 years old boys. And the U.S. female team they couldn't stand to play with these boys. Right now, I can tell you, the Texas basketball team, the male basketball team, can beat the U.S. basketball team, female. That's how much more stronger the male is than the female. Like if today, if there was a UFC fight, do you watch UFC?
I have, yeah, sure.
How long do you think a woman, the strongest woman in the world, would survive with someone like
Conor McGregor or whomever, right?
or that Nigerian monster.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know well enough, I guess, but yeah, I would guess that. Yeah, I would if I'm putting money on that fight, it's not lasting long.
Maybe 20 seconds.
I don't know.
And 20 seconds goes maybe
yeah.
10 to get to her.
Sure.
Yeah. I mean, it wouldn't take long.
Right.
So women do not have the power.
But do they need it in this society, in civilized society? Like, in other words, I go back to, caveman days or whatever. I get that. I get what you're saying in that regard, right? Like, so if you don't have the physical strength to protect from more of a primal sort of threat, right? Then you need physical strength to ward off that primal threat. But in this world, maybe in the U.S., UK, anywhere in the world for that matter, but any developed place or even developing place, is it as necessary? Like, does physical strength matter? Do the roles need to be in place because physical strength isn't as...
For the raising of the children, physical strength is important.
Why? Why is it important?
Because the kids have to know where the power is. The kids, they cannot assume that the power is with the woman. Because as long as they have that assumption, then the kids don't grow up balanced. Because the kids needs to be disciplined.
Yeah. And
that discipline only comes from the man. So it's not good for the kids for our women to be strong. Our women just need to be women. So the kids can be able to separate the two. Okay? And our men need to be the men. Okay, look at what happened in the pandemic. America was shut down.
Yeah.
You guys managed to shut down a whole country with over 500-600 million people. Imagine that.
Yeah.
Who was moving around?
I don't know.
Yeah, who was making sure your internet is working? Who was making sure your water is piped? Who was making sure your gas is there? Your food gets to you? Right? The first people to fold were the women. All these useless jobs we've given them, receptionist and whatever, and all these sales nonsense jobs that they could have done from anywhere, those are not real jobs. These are jobs we've created to make them feel good. But when it comes down to it, the real jobs can only be done by men. So these other jobs are good and they make women feel good, like accounting. We don't need accounting.
No, why not?
No, we don't need it. Anyone who has a brain can do their own accounting.
I suppose, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I'm getting in this, I'm giving out that. What is left is what is mine, right?
Sure.
So there are a lot of places we don't need them. We did put them in the workplace, but we don't need them in the workplace. Because whatever job they're doing can be done maybe 3-4 times better than by a man.
What about like a nurse?
But men are still better nurses.
But women disproportionately represent that. Like that, they're most nurse.
Yes, because that's the, what do you call, the road of least resistance. So like now when
not being a doctor, you mean?
Of course.
Is that what you mean?
Yeah. Who's going to be a doctor?
Yeah.
You don't have to study as much to be a nurse. And then when my Kenyan people in Africa, when you come from Africa and land in the States, the first job you're told to get, make sure you become a nurse.
Oh, really?
So it's the easiest job to get.
Wow.
Right?
That's interesting.
And it's the easiest job to do away with. You don't need nurses, do you?
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like you do, but I'd need to. I couldn't make a smart enough argument to say, well, here's the 5 reasons why.
There are a lot of things America developed for themselves that have no value anywhere else in the world.
You don't have nurses in Kenya?
No, we do, but okay. Look, let's put it this way: it's a job that can be done by any gender. Okay, it's a job that does not need any gender can do it. So we know one thing about men is men become very obsessive about their vocations, which means they become better. Look at you, what you're doing with your podcast. Look at me, what I'm doing with my podcast.
Sure.
I'm obsessive about it. I go crazy about it. I was here an hour before you because I was excited.
Right.
Yeah. So we're obsessive and we tend to grow and we look for opportunities as long as there's no noise in our heads. But being an ass, anyone can be an ass, bro.
Sure.
Yes. So the jobs that only you can do, our men are not doing. Because if I can be like Usain Bolt, where I'm the best in what I do, then already I'm attractive to everybody.
Yeah.
But now imagine you're an accountant. Nobody gives a shit about your life. Yeah, nobody cares what you do, bro. You open your mouth, say you're an accountant, people say thank you. You sit down. Open your mouth and say you're a podcaster. Oh, what podcast do you have?
Right.
And now everybody's suddenly excited.
Yeah. Yeah.
Does it make sense?
It does. Yeah.
Yes.
I get that. Yeah. I mean, what you, like, I think what you're talking about, what you're saying, especially in our culture, is like highly, highly controversial, right? It's the opposite of everything anybody else is saying right now about women. Maybe you don't know, but like women have talk about gender pay inequity, right? That's a big topic. Pay gap between men and women for similar jobs. The ability for women to have any career they want. Even people training their girls now, because we feel like in this country, at least, we feel like what you're talking about was an unenlightened teaching to girls, and it boxed them into being less than their full potential because we told them in the 80s or 70s or 60s that grow up, be a wife, be a mother, and that's your role. Do that. Which, does that lead to depression? Does that lead to the fact that, well, I can't fulfill my dreams because I'm told I have to have certain roles? Is that what's depressing women, right? Like, that's the sort of discussion that's out there. So do you get a lot of pushback?
So right now you're 42.
I'm 44.
44.
Yeah.
All right. I'm 46.
Yeah.
Did your mother go to school?
2 years.
Your mother?
College. Yeah. 2 years of college.
I mean, she went to primary school.
Oh, she went to high school.
So, I mean, she went to elementary.
Yeah.
High school, the whole thing. Then she went to college for 2 years.
I think so.
Whatever she did in college.
Oh,
So your mom wasn't oppressed?
No.
My mom wasn't oppressed.
Yeah.
So who are these people who've been oppressed?
Well, I guess the question would be, was my mom conditioned to be a mom and a wife?
By who?
By her parents, her mom and dad, because that's the role of the woman,
Yes.
at least in that time,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And so is she oppressed in some way? Meaning like, well, I guess this is all I can be, so that's what I'll do. And if she had other ambitions and couldn't realize those, is that not her being oppressed?
Like now, the job that you do.
Yep.
What is your job?
Oh, I don't know.
It's to be able to look at the potential in people
Sure.
and try and bring it out. Because there is that part in human beings where other people have been given a special eye. They can see what other people can't see. Okay?
Yep.
And sometimes those people are your parents.
Sure.
So in Africa, we had a tradition where if the girl was no good, then the father would have to be honest enough with the man who wanted her in marriage and tell her, hey, listen. I mean, and tell the guy, hey, listen, I'm not sure about this girl. I mean, you want a girl, you can take the other one. That one is good.
Right.
She has good manners, but this one is a hoe. So we have to be honest. So our mothers were not oppressed. They never used to take all these antidepressants that our women are taking now. So when I look at the happiness index, they were happier then than we are now.
So you're saying that societally we put a pressure on women to go outside of where, how would I put it? Are you seeing like societally now we're pressuring women to do things to be more in more male-dominated type of roles, which is creating the depression?
Yes, and women are losing their shit because they're not built for that. A woman is not built for an 8 to 5, having to deal with all manner of men in this. Imagine your wife having to go deal with men out there in the office.
She did for a number of years, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, imagine what energy she's bringing to your house every day when she's doing that. Okay, so how is your marriage going to survive when she's getting energy from somebody else, not from you?
Yeah.
So we have fucked up. We put our women in a position where we're telling them, go out there and be whatever the fuck you want to be, but it's not good for them. It's like when your kid wants to eat sweets before they go to bed.
Yeah.
I mean, the kid wants it.
Sure.
The kid is crying, he can even cry. And if you were to take a video of that kid at that moment, you would look like the worst parent.
Giving a lollipop to the kid right before
bedtime. No.
Oh, not giving it to them because they're crying and screaming, right?
If we were to record you saying no to your kid when they're crying and we don't know what the context of that conversation is, then you look like a bad parent.
Right.
But you know what's good for your kid.
Sure.
And you know this kid, like my son, every time he takes sweets, he's sick the next day. So if I see him taking a sweet, then a beating would help him tomorrow.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So I'm not beating him because I don't love him. I'm beating him because, in fact, I love him a lot. So I don't want the problem that's going to happen tomorrow if I can deal with it today.
Interesting.
So even with our women, we know women are happiest when they are mothers and grandmothers.
What do you mean? You know they are?
Because we have seen the
evidence.
The evidence is there.
What polling or that sort of thing.
Yes, but even in life.
Yeah.
And we see how depressed the ones who don't have that become. Like now, for example, if a woman has one child, and this boy goes and becomes a homosexual, she'll never know what grandkids are. Or the lady goes and becomes a lesbian. Now, who's going to fuss over her when she's in her 60s, 70s, 80s? How will her life look then?
Yeah.
She doesn't want people who are going to be fussing. Hey, grandma, have you eaten? Grandma this, grandma that. That's what the work of the grandkids, to fuss over their grandparents. Okay? So that is being taken away from the black people. We are taking that away. And now we've created this system where the woman gives birth to one child and that child gives birth to another child. So now that's all they know. So there's a woman who is broke as fuck, living in a Section 8 housing. So she's not living the American dream, because Section 8 housing is poverty.
Right.
She's not living the American dream. She's having to go for food stamps and fight all these social justice wars and, Wakanda forever and Black Lives Matter and all that other crap. And she still has to come home and be a mother to this ancient child who's indisciplined, who's going to go sleep around again and bring her another child. So now they're going to be 3 girls in one house with no future whatsoever. And how does that look for the society?
Very interesting. Very interesting. It's interesting to see how a conversation goes when you just
let it go. Right?
We just let it go. Right? We let it go and see where it goes. Wow, man, a lot to think about for sure. And I love what I love you have a big following in Kenya. I know you're working on masculinity with men there specifically. Where do people find that? Where are you?
On my YouTube.
Yeah.
So I'm on social media. I'm YouTube. So Andrew Kibe everywhere.
Kibe.
Kibe. Yes.
Yep.
Andrew Kibe. So Kibe on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. I find Facebook to be a bit weird nowadays.
Why?
People on Facebook are evil like fuck, bro.
See, I feel like YouTube is like a lot more trolly than Facebook right now.
No. I think YouTube is the best right now.
You like it the best? Yeah. I guess it depends on your platform. Like I hate LinkedIn.
Okay, I don't touch LinkedIn.
Nor should you. I think it's a shitty platform, but
it's for in my country, the pretentious motherfuckers are the ones who are on LinkedIn, and they keep trying to show us how better they are than the rest of us. Yeah, you don't have a LinkedIn profile. Fuck you and your stupid LinkedIn profile.
I got you. No, man, I appreciate you coming in. It's great. We got connected by George.
So before I can see you're about to close.
Yeah.
How do we become successful? You assume I'm not black. Assume you're just talking to one of your people. What is the one thing you can tell us and say, hey, listen, because when you've been observing, and the problem is you cannot be honest because of your skin color. Okay?
Yeah.
But if you were to tell a black person something, because
how to be successful?
America needs the white people to start talking.
Okay.
And the white people to be unafraid of saying what the truth is, because the truth is what has kept America going all this time. So why aren't the white people stopping the black people and from all this madness that they are creating around the country?
Oh, God. I mean, it's a loaded...
It is loaded. I wouldn't want to put you in trouble. Yeah.
I have no idea. What I would say to your question about like what advice would you give? What did you say? What advice would you give somebody to be successful regardless of their race?
Yeah.
Whether black, white, or otherwise?
Yeah.
I think you have to just be clear on who you are and who you're trying to be. I think you just have to be authentic. Like whatever that means. So understand what lights you up, what you enjoy, what your passions are, and lean into that. I think that's success. That doesn't mean you make money necessarily, but if you love, I don't know, if you love to play video games, then play video games. You know what I mean? Like, I think that as long as people pursue what makes them happy, I think that's success. And to be honest with you, I think when you do that with intention, then almost anything can become a career. I mean, you and I talk on a microphone and make money doing that, right? We put videos out on a platform and money. Yeah. But I love doing this. I love having conversations, interesting conversations. I mean, even this conversation, like no idea where that was going to go, where it went, but it was interesting to learn, your perspective on what you've seen and what you see as an immigrant in the United States, what you saw in your country, right? And what your perspectives are on gender roles and race and everything else. So, like no matter what it is, I would say to anybody, like, well, I always say to people, like, what do you love doing? And they're like, oh, I don't know. Like, you didn't hear the question I asked you. The question I asked you is, what do you love doing? But what you heard was, what do I love doing that I can see making me money?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So I just said, do what you love. And from there, things just happen. The last interview I had was the same thing. He was talking about like having a vision and, that vision underneath it, all the things that happen and the person that you had to become on the way to becoming the person that achieved that vision is because you're aligned with something bigger than what you are and the best version of who you are, whatever that might mean. So man, woman, black, white, that's my thoughts on success. You got to align with what you're authentically passionate about. Do that. Take action toward it, not worrying about how it's going to make you money or sustain your life or whatever it may be. And you'll be amazed at the results. That's my thought.
Yeah, that is such a powerful closer.
Yeah, I hope so. What's yours? What's your advice?
Get out of your own way. See, the last thing I want to say is, we have a lot of noise in our heads, and these are voices that have been put in there by other people. So like, maybe your mother put it in there, your sisters, your aunties, your dad, your mom. I mean, whoever, anybody who was maybe even your teacher, right? The other day I posted, and I put a tweet and I said, so there's a guy called Rollo Tomasi. Rollo Tomasi mentioned me on his podcast. Somebody sent me that clip and I put it up on my Twitter.
What does he do? What's his platform?
Rollo Tomasi, he calls himself the rational male. He's like the god of the manosphere. The man who decided to start talking about this before anybody else started doing it. And he even wrote a book. It's called The Rational Male. So Rollo Tomasi does a clip and says, hey, shout out to Andrew Kibe. And I put it up on my Twitter and I say, I wish my class 3 teacher could see this. That's my frame of reference, because that teacher is one who stopped me from joining the debate club that I wanted to join when I was in class 3. Because in class 3, I knew what I wanted. When I saw what debate was, I was like, I don't want anything else.
Right.
I don't want to study mathematics, nothing. This is what I want. And she saw what I wanted, and she blocked it. So for the next 5 years, from class 8 to class 3 to class 8, no teacher could allow me in debate because of that crazy bitch. So now, many, many years later, I come and say, I wish my class 3 teacher could see me now. Right? So it has not been a voice in my head, but it's an achievement that I am very happy about.
Sure.
Okay?
Yeah.
So get rid of the voices. Whether it is your mother, your father, your sisters, whoever put that crazy voice in your head, not to do or not try, and just go and do it. Just something you just said, only that
get out of your own way.
You have better English than mine.
No, I think you said it more succinctly than I did. Get out of your own way makes a lot of sense, because that's exactly what it is. It is conditioning or fear or whatever it might be. Somebody else telling you what you should be or shouldn't be, and like you said, dismissing all of that and just aligning with who you are. That's the key to it. So,
and that's what the white people need to sell to the blacks.
I
wish there was come on, you guys need to do it.
I don't know, man. Like
because I mean, look at them. This that victimhood is killing America, bro.
I believe in that. I believe that overall. Like, I don't know if that's I don't see that as a black, white, female, male thing. I think people are way too offended too easily on everything. I think it's funny to me. It's interesting to me that some people are offended on behalf of others when those people aren't offended, right? Like, there's black people that aren't offended by certain things, but white people are offended on their behalf. That blows my mind. I don't know why.
That's stupid.
I just don't get that. It's like, let me, but something I learned in my journey that I think is so, in one way, it's a little bit, I don't want to say sad, but it's like sobering. Maybe that's the word. Sobering, but also empowering. Is that there's no meaning in anything, not inherently, right? There's no meaning in the fact that you're here, the fact that you're black, the fact that I'm here, the fact that I'm white, that we're men, that you're wearing a hat, that we're in a podcast studio, that we make what amount of money we make. There's no meaning in my birth. There's no meaning in my kids. My kids don't mean anything, not inherently. I mean, they weren't born with a meaning. We assign those meanings to everything. It's good, it's bad, it's amazing, it's not, it's beautiful, it's ugly, whatever it might be, right? Like, and there's societal norms or whatever for each meaning. So by and large, somebody's mother dying is sad. right? That's a sad thing. The meaning that we generally assign to that is sad.
It's
So
sadness.
it makes sense. But if that mother abused somebody, right, that person might view that death very differently.
Yes.
Their meaning for that person's death might be more joy or relief or whatever it might be. So I think when you get to a point, we talk about being offended by everything. Well, you know, if we can agree, and this would be the most amazing thing, if we could get to a point where we could agree like, hey, look, nothing means anything. Nothing means anything. We assign meaning to everything. Everything. It's a white blank slate. It's a room without anything on it. Everything that is. Your life, my kid's life, your kid's life, your ex-wife, my wife, the guys in the other room, the producers, all of our lives are inherently meaningless. It sounds so sad and heavy, but it's so powerful. That means I can write the meaning.
Liberating.
I can literally define the meaning of my life. So if you choose to assign, you know, well, you've said a lot of things today that a lot of people are going to, when they hear this, that a lot of people are going to say, like, he is a racist. That's the meaning they're going to assign to it. He is a sexist. He is backwards or whatever it might be, right? Like there's going to be a meaning assigned. And that's fine. A lot of people would probably agree with that meaning. So we say, well, then it must be. That must be the meaning. But there are other people who are not going to see it that way, that are not going to see that meaning in it, right? So you assign meaning to everything that is. And when you understand that being offended is simply a choice, like, you know, other than physical assault, really, like other than being physically assaulted, that to me is the line crossed. Otherwise, it's all words.
It's all words, bro.
Right?
Yeah,
now, words can incite things, and words are meaningful, and words are powerful.
But if I do that, and if I incite you into some form of reaction, the problem is you. It's not me.
Right.
Because I'll say what I say,
right,
and sometimes I'll be a dick.
Yeah.
But you have to be able to be so comfortable in your own skin that whatever I say doesn't affect you.
And that's the divisiveness that we find ourselves in right now. If everything's left, right, even the disease, the COVID thing, whatever, was a left, right issue. Somehow a pandemic became like, how do I feel about that? Let me go to CNN. Let me go to Fox News, and I'll decide based on what Tucker Carlson or Rachel Maddow tells me. Is this do I agree with this or do I not agree? Or even who's president? When Trump was president, this vaccine was coming out. Like that was a thing, right? So people on the right aligned with it, like, yeah, right. The moment Biden was president and the vaccine came out, people on the right were like, screw the vaccine. I don't trust the government. You know, it's like it goes back and forth. It's really depending on like what meaning do I assign to this and go from there. So anyway, interesting discussion, man. Interesting.
Thank you for having me, man.
Yeah.
I really appreciate you jumping on this quick fast.